Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of New York Giants Football Talk. Kenny K here, as always, and I'm here with my good friend Paul Rosen. Going to get to Paul in a second because he's going to be the boss tonight, running the show. But I'm happy. The off season's here. We had a great weekend. I'm not going to lie, the Giants aren't in the playoffs. We've been out of the playoffs for a while, but it was a great weekend of football. We got some fun. The Eagles lost. We got some fun lined up for you with that later on. But in general, great weekend of football. And Paul, I know we have a difference of college football teams. You're a Notre Dame fan. I'm a Miami fan. But man, I tell you, and I really wish you were a Miami fan with me because Miami's there with me this year, and it just feels good to have meaningful football again. And my team is going for a national championship on next Monday, and I'm excited. So I got some excitement back, but we got a lot more excitement. But let's get your opening statement and welcome again, my brother from another. How are you doing this evening?
Good. Doing well, Kenny. Good evening, Kenny. Good evening, everybody out there. Uh, Listen, uh, I just have to say, first of all, even though I'm a Notre Dame fan, go Canes. They are playing as well as they can be. You should be very proud of them. They have an excellent chance against Indiana. However, I will say this: watching Indiana go through Alabama and Oregon, very impressive, extremely impressive. But if we have a show tomorrow, I'll have some thoughts about the game tomorrow night. But looking forward to tonight. Late breaking news this afternoon that we'll talk about regarding possibly the Giants again, and should be a good show.
Yeah, I just want to say hello to Ernie Mays, big Bronco fan. He's
Hey,
saying hello,
Ernie.
Kenny K and Paul.
Good luck
Got a
this
big one,
weekend.
good one, big one against Buffalo. I mean, you got the home field advantage there. Saturday, 4:30, Ernie. I know you'll be tuned in, and thank you for coming on, hanging out with us for a few minutes here tonight. Appreciate you as always. But Paul, like I said in my intro, you're going to be running the show tonight. Your agenda. We worked on it together, but you're going to run the show, the order. You're the boss tonight, and one more hello before we get started. Our good friend Roy Osborne, I want to say hello to him. He always comes in here as
Hey,
well and
Roy.
say, hey, Kenny and Paul, Happy New Year, and kind of surprised that Harbaugh got fired.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no. We're going to get into that in a second. But yes and no, I am a little surprised. But, you know, when you're with team for so long, it's just, the marriage isn't there anymore. It gets old. And one more hello, and I promise we'll get to the agenda. Keith Brugman coming in, our good friend over at Rocky
Keith,
Mountain Sports Network.
good evening.
Denver Bronco Roundup, The Juice. I'll be on later tonight with Jody doing The Juice. Uh, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. He says, so great to see you, Kenny and Paul. Go Giants. Go
Thank you,
Broncos.
Keith.
You're the Bronco
Go
fan.
Broncos.
But
Looking
all right,
forward to the
Paul,
game
I'm
Saturday.
gonna I'm gonna put us in
Yeah,
different spots of the screen because the show is run by Mr. Paul Rosen tonight.
thanks, Kenny. So good segue talking about coaches and John Harbaugh, and we'll have a little fun game that we're going to play with the two of us, and everyone else who's participating can join in. We have four tiers of our coaches, and we're each going to pick a coach or coaches that we feel are in that tier, going from, why don't we do from 4 to 1? How's that? All
That'll
right.
work. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. So why don't we do that? We'll pick a coach we feel, depending on how we feel the Giants should go after him, uh, what the interest is, who we think could fit the Giants as that coach. So why don't you start, Kenny? In your fourth tier, who would you have as your a coach or coaches in your fourth tier?
Yeah, I got a bunch of coaches in my fourth tier, but I'm only gonna go with one that if everything else failed, I would accept and bring him in, and that's former New York Giant linebacker Antonio Pierce. I would bring in and call him a tier four. Coached a little bit, got an interim with the Raiders, and then the following year didn't go as well, and he was let go. One of coaches that are still getting paid over there by the Raiders, by the way, but hasn't had a head coaching job since. I think it's more you can see him as a defensive coordinator, maybe an assistant on the defense, maybe a linebackers coach down the line. But I think head coach wise, it would not be my first choice, and that's why I'm calling him a tier four. I do have some other names in tier four, Paul, but I don't want to take somebody away from you. So
Okay.
after you pick yours, I'll tell you who else I had as tier four on this list.
Okay. My tier four actually has been a head coach, coached a couple of years with the Broncos. Was not that successful, and has some ties with Joe Shane in Miami. And that would be Vance Joseph. What he's done with the Broncos defense has been phenomenal. With the talent that we have, those guys should be much, much better using their natural ability to rush the passer, to play the defense the way the Giants should be playing. So a guy like that, if I had to accept him, clearly he would improve the Giants defense. So Vance Joseph would be my tier four choice. Who are some of
Roy,
yours?
Roy, I was just gonna say, Roy likes. He's saying the Giants are going to interview Vance Joseph. He thinks it would be a good hire to hire Vance Joseph.
Hmm.
Some of my other tier four guys are guys that haven't been a head coach yet in the NFL and their coordinators because you don't know. You may get a Liam Cohen where he takes the Jaguars to an AFC South title in year one, or you may get a Brian Callahan who comes over from the Bengals as a Titans head coach and gets released 2 years with terrible record, or a Brian Dable, our coach coordinator, So you don't know what you're going to get from coordinators. So I wrote down Clint Kubiak, the Seattle offensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator, Lou Amarulo, defensive coordinator for the Colts, Chris Shula, defensive coordinator for the Rams. A lot of defensive guys here. And Jeff Hatley from the Packers, their defensive coordinator, who had some ties with New Jersey, and former head coach of Boston College. I wrote them all down as tier four. As for Vance Joseph, I had him a little higher, Paul. I got him a tier three, but not my choice for coach. That's why I'm
Okay.
just mentioning him.
I say here's where I disagree with you. I don't want any of those guys. We've gone through this. We've spoke about it. The Pat Shermers, the Joe Judges, even Brian Dable. I don't want any of that. At that level, I'm sorry. It's New York. It's the Warner franchise, Cornerstone franchise. I'm through with hiring these guys and regurgitating them every 2-3 years. I want someone that's successful. Okay, tier three. You mentioned Vance Joseph. Do you want to mention him again at tier three?
He's not my top choice at tier three. But Vance Joseph I have as tier three because I've seen what he's done with the Broncos defense this year, and I truly believe the Broncos are where they are 65-35 because of their defense as opposed to Sean Payton's offense. So
Hmm.
I have him higher than a tier four because of how good the defense has been. And I see what kind of defense that the Giants have. And I look at the Broncos and I said, this is very similar. Pass rush, they're going for this. They're right there with the sack record for a team this past year. They have preach defense with Vance Joseph, and he would bring over probably a Davis Webb as offensive coordinator or somebody in that lines. But tier three, not my top choice. I would bring him in, and I do have two other guys in my top three that I would look at if I was the Giants, and that's Brian Flores. But I know there's some issues there with the off the field issues, so I don't think that would be, you know, the top choice for the Giants. And I think it'd be fun to bring Mike McDaniel over as a tier three. I know it didn't go well in Miami, but he had Tua Tagliavola as his quarterback. And then Quinn Ewers. I mean, what do you want this guy to do? And he was very highly, you know, a highly praised coach when he came over from Shanahan, and I think it could be fun. You know, again, not my top choice, maybe offensive coordinator, but tier three if everything else fails. I would go Mike McDaniels and then Vance Joseph.
Okay. I'll agree with Van Joseph. All the others, you can keep them. You'll see on my list, I have one guy on each tier. Well, two now. But my tier three, and this is again, I'll accept it. I like that word that you used as opposed to this is who I want. But my tier three would be Kevin Stefanski, only because he's worked with quarterbacks. He's actually probably outperformed as a coach with the kind of quarterbacks that he's had at Cleveland. Coach of the year twice. Again, I'm concerned about him being there versus New York, and you've heard me ad nauseum making myself sick saying it. Coaching in New York is different than any other place, but Stefanski could work well with Jackson Dart, so he would be my only tier three coach if I had to accept Kevin Stefanski.
Keith
All
wants to
right.
put Cliff Kingsbury in consideration with what he did with Jaden Daniels. It could be a great addition for Dart in the offense. Don't count him
Yeah.
out for offensive coordinator. Head coach,
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Exactly. All right. I'll go with my tier two. I'll start. I have one guy, and he could probably be at tier one, but for me, I'll put him at tier two, and that's Mike McCarthy. Again, Super Bowl winner. I've said I want someone who's a winner. He obviously success in Green Bay, went to Dallas, had 3 straight 12-win seasons. When's the last time the Giants won 3 straight years of 12 wins? I don't think I remember those days, but McCarthy, obviously a very good offensive coach. He could bring in a good defensive coordinator to work with the Giants defense. Um, Again, he wouldn't be my top choice, and we'll get to that in a second. But would I cry if McCarthy was the guy? No. And I could see going to him if our other choices were not there. Who's
Yeah.
your number two?
Tier twos, I'm going to be happy. Am I going to be ecstatic and throw in a New Year's Eve type of party if we get him? No. But I'll be happy with either of these two guys, meaning I'll be, you know, not, unhappy. Mike McCarthy, like you just said, everything that you said, I'm gonna second that. Would bring, you know, is the ceiling high with McCarthy? No, but the floor is not low. You're gonna know what you're gonna get from McCarthy. You're gonna get 9 to 11 wins in year one, playoffs, and you go from there. You take your chances. But I'm gonna go a little high. I'm going a little higher on some of these guys than Paul. So I like Kevin Stefanski. When I look at Jackson Dart, as opposed to every other quarterback that this guy had, minus Baker Mayfield, Jackson Dart's better. Kevin Stefanski, two-time coach of the year with Baker Mayfield, and then coach of the year when he had Dorian Thompson Robinson Thompson, DTR, whatever you want to say his name is, Sean
Yeah.
Watson, Joe Flacco. He had 4 quarterbacks that year and won coach of the year and won a playoff game. Give this guy stability at quarterback. He's an offensive coordinator turned head coach, but also praises defense. Myles Garrett, Jim Schwartz, good defensive coordinator. If you don't get the head coaching job at the Browns, he's probably going to follow Stefanski wherever he goes. I would
Hmm.
accept that. I would be happy with that. New Year's Eve party? No. But I'll be happy with that if the tier one fails.
Okay. And tier one, you want to go first?
Yeah, well, the news today broke. Mike Tomlin released. Mike Tomlin steps down from the Steelers. Now that doesn't mean he was fired. Talked about John Harbaugh last week. Ravens released him. Tomlin was relieved of his duties right now. He's stepping down. If Tomlin was to come back to coach This year or 2027, a team is going to have to trade for him, like the Broncos did with Sean Payton a couple years ago, and the Saints got a first round pick for Sean Payton. I feel similar compensation is going to be for Tomlin. I still have him as a tier one coach. The guy has never had a losing season in the NFL. Yeah, playoffs is a different story. But if I'm going to talk about Kevin Stefanski not having quarterbacks, I got to talk about Mike Tomlin not having quarterbacks. And Aaron Rodgers, 41 years old. We saw his age yesterday. Last year, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Before that, Mason Rudolph. The quarterbacks have not been there for this guy, and he still finds ways to have a winning record. All fails. Tier one for me, Mike Tomlin. You go get him. But the guy that everybody wants, and he's the betting favorite, and things are looking brighter. And I'm not going to take too much because I'm going to let Paul talk about it. I know where he's going to go when he talks about him. But John Harbaugh, bring him over. There'll be discipline in that front in the Giants locker room. The players will respect him from day one, and you will see an instant turnaround. And John Harbaugh, when you look at these other jobs, Paul, I don't see him going anywhere else. It's New York. He can only get better. 4-13 record with this roster. He's going to be a hero over here. If we win 7 or 8 games, you'll be a hero. You go anywhere else, you're not getting that. So John Harbaugh, tier one, and would be my top choice over Tomlin 10 out of 10 times because of the situation. I don't want to trade for Tomlin if I can get Harbaugh.
Good overview. Yeah, I'm right there, Kenny, with you, with both those guys who eventually both will be a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, I've been following football almost 60 years, and I don't think I ever remember two coaches with the cachet of Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin being available as coaches that might be able to coach your football team. I mean, we've we've had other coaches that have been available over the years. Obviously, Belichick a couple of years ago, but nothing like this where you have your choice. Do you want filet mignon or do you want uh, uh, tomahawk New York cut steak? Because that's what you're going for. I mean, you mentioned some of Tomlin's history. I mean, 19 seasons, never had a losing season, 13 years in the playoffs, 8 division championships, obviously one Super Bowl, and Harbaugh, we quoted everything that he's had over the last 18 years with the Baltimore Ravens. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with either of those. Obviously, they'd have to work out some type of trade. Here's the good thing. The Mara family, the Rooney family are like this. If you don't know the names, Mara Rooney, the actress, and another actress with a name that's both Mara and Rooney, I'm sure they can work out something very, very equitably for both organizations. So, listen, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, not just for this year, but the Giants have to look at it as we have to look at it 5 years, 10 years. What can these guys bring and stabilize the organization? I always say football is very cyclical. Look at some of these teams that for years they haven't won, and all of a sudden, the Patriots, the Bears, they've come back. Other teams have now taken a step back. Why can't now, after 10, 12 years, the Giants turn around and with the kind of roster that they can build and have on the current roster, they can all of a sudden become the Giants of what we used to know for the 80s and 90s. So let's see what happens. I would obviously be very, very happy with either one of them. It's 1A, Harbaugh at 1, but Tomlin is at 1A. And if they can get either, let's throw a party.
Real quick, let's say hello to Mark. Mark Calderio saying hello.
Hey,
Paul.
Mark.
And One thing I want to add, Paul, I didn't want to steal your thunder if you mentioned it. I didn't know if you saw this, but Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin met with John Harbaugh and maybe persuading him a little bit to tell him about how New York is. So Giants are going all
Interesting.
out.
No,
Giants are going all
I,
out.
I did not hear that. Listen, anything you can do to persuade either of these guys to come to this organization would be incredible. I think you may have seen it if somebody hadn't. Chris Mara met with John Harbaugh Sunday afternoon. The Giants have had conversations already with John Harbaugh, and Chris Mara, John Mara's brother, personally went down to meet with him informally on Sunday afternoon. So I love the fact that they're being proactive, that they're not waiting around saying, "Oh, we're the Giants, come to us." Love it. So we'll see what happens regarding that.
Absolutely, Paul. Absolutely.
All right.
So,
Moving along, we're still talking about coaches, but moving along, John, Kenny, speaking of John Harbaugh, I want to ask you a question. Would you rather? Okay. So obviously, with so many teams that might be interested in Harbaugh, obviously the Giants being one of them, would you rather, no matter how long it takes for John Harbaugh to make a decision, and this could take, with interviews and everything, it could take 2, 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, who knows? There's no guarantee he's going to sign and the Giants are going to hire him. Would you rather wait it out? This is the guy you want, but as other coaches are now being picked up and signed by, the Ravens and the Titans and some of these other teams, would you rather wait for him, or maybe feel like you now are going to get cold feet and I'm going to jump in and get Kevin Stefanski and settle on that, even though you want, you want that pretty girl, you want the cheerleader, but I don't know if she's going to go with me to the prom. So let me ask someone else.
well, I want to say hello to a new face on YouTube, Captain and Coke 7085. Thank you for watching. Don't let
Thanks, Captain.
Harbaugh string us along. I'm going to answer it this way, Paul. My tier two guys, Mike McCarthy and Kevin Stefanski. If they are, let's say, just a couple steps behind Harbaugh in my hiring process,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not that far off from Harbaugh, I'm going after one of those two guys. I'm sorry, I'm doing it because I'm not taking a chance of losing McCarthy and Stefanski. And then I'm going down to my tier three list, which is Mike McDaniel, Vance Joseph, and Brian Flores. That's a big drop for me as I did my tiers. We did our tiers at the beginning of the show. So if McCarthy and Stefanski are close to Harbaugh, and then the drop off tier three is really a drop off, I'm offering Harbaugh an offer, and I'm not waiting long because I don't want to lose those tier two guys, and I'll go with Plan B. So I know that's not the answer many people want to hear, but John Harbaugh's got to sign soon if I was the GM, because I'm going after McCarthy, Stefanski if I don't feel comfortable that he will sign with us.
All right. Let me ask you, it just popped into my head. Let me ask you this question. Quick question. If you're the Giants, obviously you're going full born after Harbaugh. Would you, to put pressure on Harbaugh, go full born over Mike Tomlin? So now you have two ways that you could go, with the idea that, hey, I want Harbaugh, but he sees that I'm still interested also in Mike Tomlin and maybe making him make a decision even sooner.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. You know, you got Tomlin you can use. I know Tomlin may sit out like Sean Payton did. That's a good
Right.
chance. But
Or
if you're the
TV or something.
Giants, if you're the Giants, these Mike Tomlins don't come around every day. You know,
No.
you hire a coach in our tier 3 or tier 4 level, and he wins 7 or 8 games, you're stuck in purgatory. And Tomlin goes to the Jets or somebody else and turns that franchise around for the next 15
Hmm.
years. So there's a chance the Giants may put an offer on the table for Tomlin. Hey, we'll give you our 2027 first round pick. We want Mike Tomlin if it fails with Harbaugh. Don't be surprised if you see that. That's how desperate the Giants are going to be. Let me get a couple comments and thank you, Captain. Captain subscribed, but he's saying he also believes Harbaugh is using the other teams as leverage. We don't want to bid against ourselves, Paul.
Hmm.
And then our good friend Patrick over there, Lion Coffee. Patrick
Hey,
saying,
Patrick.
"Aloha, aloha, Patrick. I know you got a big one on Sunday. I want to know how to 4:30 so you can enjoy. You can have a nice cup of coffee in the morning, have some breakfast with the family, and hopefully your Broncos come away with the victory for you on Sunday." And then one more comment from Captain. The issue with Tomlin is that he is still under contract and they would want compensation. That's why I said number five
Right.
pick, I can't do that. But maybe 2027 first round pick
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
the hopes that I'm going to be a lot better this year, and that pick's now in the early 20s. I'm thinking about it. I really am thinking about it. But look at our friends, and I got a lot of ties with the Denver Broncos, and I look what they did with Sean Payton, and it worked. And I was questioning it from day one. Why would you give up a first round pick for Sean Payton? First year just missed the playoffs with Russell Wilson. Last year got into the playoffs. This year they're the 1 seed. I want that from the New York Giants, and I want a future Super Bowl in the next 3 years. I want it. We got the window now. We got our quarterback. It's time. So I would go get Mike Tomlin if it failed with Harbaugh, but it'd be for a 2027 or a future first round pick.
Yeah. Don't disagree. Don't disagree. Okay. Obviously, uh, John Harbaugh has, at least rumor wise or in the media, he's presented a lot of different things of what he may want from a new organization. He wants to be paid commensurate with his experience, with his overall record, cachet. Um, he wants a pretty good budget his um, for his coaching staff and some say in personnel decisions. And then the other thing is uh, general manager. That's been bandied about whether he could work, wants his own, whatever. So here's some of my thoughts, quick thoughts, Kenny, um, about Harbaugh if they do hire him and Joe Shane. And you know, I've been on the fire Joe Shane train for a long time now, probably about the same time Brian Dable was let go. And um, you know, and of course now we get to the point where maybe this could be a sticking point with the Giants and John Harbaugh. My feeling is I know a guy like John Mara just doesn't want to get rid of a guy like uh, uh, Joe Shane, but in the long term interest of the New York Football Giants organization, they've got to take a hard look. Is it John Harbaugh that might be there for the next 10 years and maybe win a couple of Super Bowls? Or is it maybe a short term, a bad draft turns into another losing season, perhaps with the Joe Shane calling the signals? So that's one thing. Um, if he had been fired earlier, perhaps right after the season, perhaps they bring in a third party, uh, individual search firm who's done this before. They've had many teams that have done that, where they bring in a third party and go over there, a search for a GM, a coach, As a matter of fact, the Giants had that in the late 70s where they had someone come in and hire George Young as the coach, excuse me, as the general manager. So those are my thoughts about Joe Shane. I just hope if push comes to shove, we don't hire him because there's some type of roadblock with a Joe Shane as our general manager. Because I just hope that that's not going to be the impediment that's going to not have the Giants get this guy, because that would be very, very upsetting to me anyway.
Paul, let me. I lost some comments, so I do want to apologize and not ignoring anybody. So uh, let me get to captains first. Hopefully, he says whoever we bring in can hire top level assistants. We 100% agree with that, and
Yep.
that really killed Brian Dable. And he says the longer you wait to hire a head coach, it gets harder to get some assistants because they have taken other jobs. Another great
Hmm.
point. Sharon's saying hello, and
Hey, Sharon, congratulations.
good job on the Bills. And he's saying that uh, Roy was saying John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin available. Go get one of them. Uh, and just like we were saying, and he's thinking Sean McDermott may be next. And Sharon was just saying that she's heard rumors about that too. If they don't get far in the playoffs, Sean McDermott may become available over there in
Well,
Buffalo. So
I said to Luby on Sunday when we were watching the game, I said if they lose this game, I think Sean McDermott may have seen the last bad winter in Buffalo. I think he would have been out, but they
yeah,
fortunately won, and I think that saved his job, in my opinion.
yep.
All right,
So back to you, my friend.
okay. So we as New York Football Giant fans, we talk about not just the Giants, but about the NFC East. And of course, what we do share is our love for the other NFC. No, what are you talking about? Our hatred for the Cowboys, for the Commanders, who you live not too far from, Kenny, in Maryland. And of course, the one and only Philadelphia Eagles. So uh, there were no tears shed by either Kenny or I on Sunday about 7:30 when the last 4th and 11 pass was battered down by by the 49er defense, and that was it. And the 49ers beat the Eagles. So with that in mind, we're gonna have a little fun now. Um, many of you who have watched us, not just for K&K, but also for New York Football Giants, we do some song parodies, and we both have some song parodies that we're going to do about the Eagles tonight. So I'll go first, and I just want to say, before I go, I just want to thank, of course, my wonderful, amazing, beautiful wife, Luby. She for all her support and input. She helped me with some of the things on the in the parody tonight. And I also want to give a shout out. There's a gentleman, and uh, obviously, as big Giant fans, we don't certainly love the Eagles, but a big shout out to a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, Robert Williams. I don't know if anyone of you guys have seen him. He is a big fan of the Eagles, and whether they win or lose, he comes up with song parodies that I first started watching this year of the Eagles, and he uses, for the most part, my favorite entertainer and singer, Billy Joel songs, as his song parodies. So, with that in mind, this is for you, Robert, and for all the Philadelphia Eagles fans. My song parody is to the Beatles tune Yesterday. Yesterday, the Eagles did not come to play. Out of the playoffs, that is where they'll stay. The dirty birds have flown away. Suddenly, Jalen's half the man he used to be. 49ers shadow hanging over Philly. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why'd Saquon had to go? I don't know. He couldn't say. He said something's wrong now. He longs for big blue days. Yesterday, Niners football was an easy game to play. Now the Eagles need a place to hide away. Oh, Jalen believes in yesterday. Why the Eagles had to go, I don't know. They could not play. They said something's wrong now. They can't stay. Yesterday, the Niners had an easy game to play. Now the Eagles plan a vacation to get away. Oh, Jalen believes in yesterday. Mm, 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 mm.
And Luby saying, now they don't fly, they just cry. I love it.
Yep.
Great, Paul. That was great. Mine,
Thank you.
we Captain, thank you for subscribing. Please don't leave with my singing. I'm going to do my best. It's a short one, and I think you'll all like this. This is the new version of the Eagles fight song. And these are for all those Eagle fans that like to come to Giant Stadium and like to start singing their uh, fight song in the recent years. So it's short, it's sweet, and I'm loving it. So here we go. Cry, Eagles, cry. 49ers came into your house and got victory. Cry, Eagles, cry. You couldn't stop Purdy or McCaffrey. Hurts, miss your receivers high. Hurts, miss your receivers low. Philly fans, cry, cry, cry. Losers, Eagles.
Love it. Love it. Oh, that's great.
Let's go, Giants fans. Let's go.
That's great. Good one, Kenny. Yep. Hey, listen, anytime that the Cowboys or Eagles lose, and we could, especially in the playoffs. That's not to say, hey, we haven't been there in a while, but you know what? Misery loves company, baby. So we are very glad that they lost Sunday. All right, good job, Kenny.
Thank
All
you.
right, moving along. So last week, even though we were 4-13, we had five uh, surprises or good things that happened with the Giants, even though they were 4-13. Yeah, there were some highlights in the season. This week, what we're going to do, Kenny and I came up with a list of disappointments, things that unfortunately did not go well. And with the 4-13 record, there was a lot of it. So I'll go first, Kenny. All right. Um, as crazy as this sounds, and it's no particular order, but as crazy as this sounds, I'm going to say Brian Dable being fired, and I guess you could throw in the coaches, because at the beginning of the year, we were 3-0 in preseason, and we knew we had a hard schedule, but we thought, okay, they'll improve their record to maybe 7-8 wins and maybe fight possibly for a playoff, but none of that showed up. And the person responsible the most is the head coach. So the idea that they did not show any improvement, and we'll get into some of the other reasons as we get into this, but one of my big disappointments is the fact that the Giants had to fire Brian Dable, and that was a big, big disappointment.
It was. By the way, Patrick says, "Don't quit my day job." So, but Patrick, I work overnight, so I don't have to worry about a day job. I'm kidding. That's good though, Patrick. Love it. He's laughing. Uh, yeah, no. All joking aside, yeah. If we were ranking these, he would probably be near number one disappointment. But
Yeah.
we didn't officially do a ranking, but it's a good way to start off with our disappointments because, like you said, preseason, you and I were excited. I mean, yeah, it was preseason, but we were seeing the team be excited on the sidelines in preseason game when somebody's making a play. And it was like, this could be something special this year. And then we go into week one against the Commanders, and it's like, we're on
Same
the
old
following
Giants.
day saying the same old Giants. We came on Monday. It was like, we're talking Sunday after the game. And it was only one game, but man, did that like just put us all down. And I'm sure everybody else who's Giant fans, not only in our chat, but all around, probably said, man, back to the same old Giants again after that one week. That really took the excitement out of it. And multiple things throughout the year and got himself, fired, and rightfully so, in my opinion. And, unfortunate, you don't want to see people get fired from their jobs, but I think it was the right decision. And yeah, a big disappointment because
Mhm.
year one, from going to the playoffs in year one and all these things going your way to, you know, going down the slope and just all the way down to the bottom of the mountain, falling down the slope. And that's what happened with the Giants and Brian Dable.
Yeah. All right. Give me another disappointment.
Let's talk about, since we're on the coaches, let's talk about the fourth quarter collapses. We talk about, you wrote them all down. Dallas early in the year, I'm jumping up for joy when Malik Neighbors catches that moon ball from Russell Wilson, and I'm screaming, and you could hear me a mile away how happy I was that we're finally going to beat Dallas. And then we go into that prevent defense, and of course, Brent Aubrey can kick from 70 yards, and of course, he nails one right down the middle to go into overtime, and of course, we get beat in overtime. So that's one. Of course, the historic collapse against Denver, that's two. And Green Bay, let's add Green Bay to the mix, add Minnesota, and add Detroit. There's 5 games that the Giants not uh, could have won, but should have won.
Yeah.
Let's do the math. 5 wins, you're 9-8. You're not 4-13, and you're fighting for that last playoff spot. And that's where we thought we were going to be this year. And that's why we're excited about our next head coach coming in, because I think we're going to be 9-8, 10-7. But the fourth quarter collapses, Paul, unacceptable. You can have one a year, maybe two you accept. Okay, things didn't go right for us. We had 2 fourth quarter collapses, but 5. And I could probably go even down the line and probably find another 1 or 2 to add to that.
Mhm.
But those are 5 that just come to mind, that the Giants not could have won, but should have won.
Yeah. Uh, Listen, I can go over and over and over again. You did a great job outlining each and every one of them, uh, especially after they got rid of Coach Dable, and then Shane Bowen to continue to do the prevent defense that cost them another game, and then he got canned. I mean, what did you learn from the previous games that they needed to do to win some of those games without collapsing in the fourth quarter by playing the same defense? So yeah, totally agree. I'll give you another one. I know every team has injuries to their players. I mean, the 49ers have a list of an arm's long list of injuries, and yet they beat the Eagles. But I'm not using this as an excuse. But when you lose arguably one of the top 5 receivers in the league, Malik Neighbors, you're all everything exciting running back, Cam Scatterboo. You lost one of your key defensive linebackers, uh, Micah McFadden, who led the team in tackles last year. Uh, Andrew Thomas, without question, all pro. He missed a number of games. and Kayvon Thibodeau. I know a lot of people like him or hate him, but the fact is he's also one of the key defensive players on the Giants. All of them missed significant amount of time. Hard to win when five of your best players, especially on a team like the Giants, aren't there to provide that week in and week out uh, help. So, you've heard guys have heard me say the best ability is availability. It hurts when you have five key players out like that. So that was one of the other disappointments I feel regarding this season.
Yeah, it's one that we definitely had to put up there. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of this segment that these are disappointments that we didn't do in any particular order, but these are things that we also think will have that the Giants will be better at in 2025 for the most part. Like things are looking up for the Giants regarding coaching staff, the injuries to these major players, the major role players on the Giants that are coming back next year, and I kind of totally doubt we're going to have 5 to 6 fourth quarter collapses next year. So far things are going to be looking better for the Giants in those sense. Scottaboo
Hmm.
getting injured, Paul Patrick's number one. So it was
Mm,
exciting. I think it's a good point that he brings up there because not only for Giant fans, but for the whole NFL. He was an exciting player, a new player in the NFL that could have become, not could have, he still can, but that was becoming a face of the NFL. He was regular on Good Morning Football, that segment that Kyle Brandt puts on.
right.
He was on
Angry
there three
runs.
weeks out of the 6 weeks that of the season. He was on it showed with angry runs. So he was becoming a face of the NFL, and I think he'll get back there next year. But that was a huge loss and disappointment for not just Giant fans, but for the whole NFL. Great point there, Patrick. Uh, but yeah, just the injuries, Paul, like you said, and it happens to every team, but on a team that you're trying to get back to winning ways and losing all those players. And let's add Jackson Dart for a couple games too.
Hmm.
He was out for a couple games. We got Jameis Winston, but could have taken a lot of momentum away from Jackson Dart, but it didn't, which is good. But still disappointing that he did. We did not to get to see him for a couple games there down the stretch. But I'll add
Good
him in
point.
there as well. But yeah, injuries are definitely on that list for sure.
Okay. Give me another disappointment, Kenny.
Uh, the play of Dexter Lawrence all year. I'm going to call one player out, captain of the team, arguably the best, you could say going into the season. Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns got to be the leaders on the defense. Dexter Lawrence was not a leader on the defense this year and did not have a full sack all year long. Had one taken away in week 17, but yeah, come on. I mean, you're the guy that's making the money. You're the guy that's going to be the face of this defense. You got your sack dance, sexy Dexy, and we didn't see it all year. And I do think part of it was our other disappointment, coaches. And I think he's going to be things I'm looking forward to and looking up. Dexter Lawrence it can only get up. It can't get much worse than it was this year. And I think with new coach and staff and a new look on things on the defensive side of the ball, I think you're going to see. I'm not saying you're going to see 100% of Dexter Lawrence back, but I think you're going to get at least 75 of 80% of the Dexter Lawrence we're used to next year.
Yeah, no, I agree, Kenny. And that sort of segues into my next disappointment. And I guess it's hand in hand with losing and the coaching staff. But to me, one of the biggest disappointments was there was no leadership from the senior coaches, meaning the head coach and the defensive coach and the offensive coach. And that trickled down to, in my opinion, no leadership among guys like Dexter Lawrence and others. And when you have a guy, and you know how much I wanted Abdul Carter, and I was ecstatic when they got him, but the fact that he was sleeping, missing meetings, sleeping during meetings, coming late. Would that ever happen in years and years ago? Would Harry Carson let something like that happen? Would Michael Strahan let something like that happen? No. You need leaders to say, listen, this is how we do it in the Giant organization. We don't sleep during meetings. We don't come in late. We're 5 minutes early, as Tom Coughlin used to say. But the fact of the matter is that he was treated like it was kid gloves until after Dable was fired. And then Mike Kafka finally said, okay, enough is enough. We're going to sit this guy out. We're gonna not let him play a series, not let him play a quarter. He's not going to start. But you know what? He got the message. The last 4 or 5 games, he turned it around, and he was very, very good. No one can say that he wasn't doing a great job, but that's what you need. You need tough love. You're not the players' friends. You're their coach. So as much as it's difficult to be tough love, that's what you have to do as a coach. And Coughlin did it. Giants won 2 Super Bowls behind what and how he coached, and he backed off a little. He showed himself as a human being. He was a tough SOB, but you know what? When he saw that they were turning around, that's when he became less hardened, and they responded and they won 2 Super Bowls. So that was a big disappointment in the way things were handled, especially when Brian Dable was still the coach.
Let me get a couple comments. Patrick has a good one, and I like the outside perspective. Patrick's out there in Hawaii. And by the way, I mentioned this Lion Coffee for those new people that are coming in. Lion Coffee, been around for over, almost 150 years. Patrick they got great coffee over there. Koa Coffee, teas. If you're not a coffee drinker, go check out lioncoffee.com. Go on there, use the code Patrick10. He'll give you 10% off of anything you order on there. And as a person who's not a coffee drinker, I started drinking coffee, working overnights, and Lion Coffee, best by far that I've had over the stuff you buy in the stores. So go check out Lion Coffee. Go check out our friend Patrick. We got he comes in former quarterbacks like Daniel Jones doing well somewhere else. That's a good one. And Sharon's saying she was talking about the Bills brought the tush push in with Josh Allen, but
I saw that. Yeah,
we got, and he got dragged for like 10 yards, not 1 yard.
I know. I saw that. Almost scored a touchdown.
And Karen, welcome back. Karen's come in tonight. She goes, yes, the team also didn't do what they needed to do until Kafka came in. She's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think the defensive coordinator, Charlie Bullen, did a lot better than the offense did okay with Dable was there. The defense started doing much better when Charlie Bullen took over. So good point. Thank you for coming back, Karen, and hanging out with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen.
I got another one, Paul, if you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can you not mention the kicker problems as disappointing this year?
What problems?
From our veteran Graham Gano having yet another groin injury to the not having a kicker on the roster for a game to going with Judd McAtini, who can't kick, misses not 1 extra point, misses 2 extra points. We talk about fourth quarter collapses. How about that game? How about Young Wei Koo doing the Charlie Brown impersonation, and Jamie Gilliam being Lucy? Maybe finally at the end we found a rookie in Don't Call Sauls or whatever how you say that.
Better Call Sauls.
Better Call Sauls. But I didn't see him kick any 50-yard field goals, so I don't know. So kicker problems 101. Go draft a kicker in the draft. I don't care if it's the 6th, 7th round. Those players normally don't make the team. If they do, it's a special teamer anyway. Get somebody that's going to be on the team for the next 5 years. Go get a kicker in the 6th or 7th round, and and compete with Sauls going into the season, and that's who I want. And if John Harbaugh is the coach, he will preach special teams. So you can guarantee there will be a good kicker on this team next year, Paul.
Yeah, listen, if we're fortunate enough to hire John Harbaugh, seems to me he had a pretty good kicker for a number of years, and Justin Justin Tucker. I'm not going to say about anything his off-field uh, issues, but from a on-field standpoint, maybe arguably the best kicker in NFL history, especially in the playoffs. Actually, also. All right. Any other disappointments you want to mention at this point?
I think we nailed it. I do think
Okay.
we could go on for days with the disappointments,
Yeah.
but we just brought up a few. Maybe we'll come up with more. Karen's saying Charlie Bowen really helped the defense, and
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if he gets a not. I'm not gonna. I think he's young. I think he's got a future. I would not be surprised if the Giants try and bring him the coaching that comes in. He looks Carmen Brasillo, the offensive line coach. They look at Charlie Bowen. Charlie, you want to come on as the be back go to the linebackers coach and learn under this guy as defensive coordinator. We think you got a future in this league, or you want to move on. I think you give him the option. I think he got a chance of being here with the Giants for the job he did in
Yeah.
the short time he was here.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Um, okay. Last thing I want to mention, obviously, huge Brian Burns fans. He had a fantastic year. Just to give you some statistics, 16 and a half sacks, which was second in the league behind the incomparable Miles Garrett, 14 quarterback hits, 24 hurries, 39 tackles for losses. Excuse me. Yet, when they announced the All Pro team, Brian Burns was not on the first team. Now, the players on the first All Pro first team were Miles Garrett, no problem. Will Anderson, no problem. Texas had the best defense in the league. Excuse me. But Micah Parsons, who had 12 and a half sacks, okay, only played in 14 games, was nowhere near the player, I'm sorry, that Brian Burns were this year. And I know the Packers made the playoffs and the Giants were horrible, but there should have been some love shown for Brian Burns instead of Micah Parsons on the first team All Pro as opposed to the second team. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm with you, Paul. And I was ecstatic when the Giants traded for him, and I said this guy's going to be a difference maker. And if Micah Parsons played a full season, and you want to go with Micah Parsons, I'm fine with that. But the guy played 14 games. He got hurt, fortunate injury, but he still only played 14 games. Brian Burns played 17 games and put up those numbers. And if it wasn't for Miles Garrett, he'd have the best numbers in football.
Yeah.
So uh, it's a popularity, just like in all sports. Your Hall of Fame voting for baseball and football. A lot of it's a popularity contest, and Micah Parsons, unfortunately, is you know a name on defense that everybody knows. You don't even have to know football to know Micah Parsons' name. When you look at
Yeah.
names, Micah Parsons, Brian Burns, people aren't going to know Brian Burns as opposed to Micah Parsons, and that's unfortunate. But I don't think it's the end of the world for Brian Burns. He Brian Burns. You're going to see a guy next year that's determined. He wants to win. He was on bad Carolina Panthers teams, and he comes over to two bad Giants teams. This guy's going to be motivated next year. He don't care about any award, all pro awards. He's going to be right there in the middle of things next year and be that leader among the men next year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I do want to get one from Karen, Paul, and I'll answer her first, and I'll let you answer as well.
Okay.
She goes, it's about Harbaugh. She goes, I think Harbaugh, he got let go. Is he really the coach? And I'll say this, Karen. I understand what you're saying there, that the Ravens fired him. But I will say this. the last 2 years in the playoffs, those losses were not his fault. 44-yard field goal. In today's NFL, I got no problem in today's NFL with going, not trying to get the ball to the 20-yard line and making a 30-yard field goal. In today's NFL, 44-yard field goal, it's like an extra point. I mean, Cam Little's kicking 70-yard field goals. So 44-yard field goal for these guys is really is like 80% you're going to make it. I had no problem with them doing that. Last year, Mark Andrews drops the ball on the 2-point conversion for the win, and otherwise the Ravens are advancing. And John Harbaugh is probably the coach for the Ravens for the next few years, because I really thought last year's Ravens team had a really good chance of going to the Super Bowl. So, but the Ravens decide to move on. I think the marriage between Lamar and Harbaugh is what caused it. And did they want to move on from Lamar, or did they want to move on from Harbaugh? They chose Lamar, to keep Lamar and move on from Harbaugh. But I do think he's a good coach, and I think he'd be perfect fit for the Giants, Karen. I really do. And I'll let you go, Paul, and then I got one from Solving the Race Problem, who just came on. And welcome, Solving. And then we got to wrap it up, Paul, because we're over the hour mark already.
Yeah. Listen, many, many great coaches have been fired in the past, and they rebound and find another job, and they go on to further success. So it's not how you fall, it's how you bounce back. And a guy like John Harbaugh, I can only tell you this, and I'm not saying this in a political way, shape, or form, but if the president of the United States says the Giants should hire John Harbaugh, that's good enough for me. So let's go out and hire this guy and get him, and I'm sure he's going to be successful with the New York Football Giants.
Let's say hello to Solving the Race Problem. They love when
Hey,
Solving comes on. I love the
Solving.
YouTube names. You get the YouTube names in there. So welcome. He's saying, I'll let you answer this one first, Paul. Could you see Mike McDaniel joining Harbaugh as offensive coordinator, or do you think McDaniel would want a head coach job?
Well, he's interviewed for two coaches. I know he's interviewed with the Titans already, and I think there was another coach that position that he interviewed with. So he's been active already. I guess if there's no other alternative, he would probably take an offensive coordinator position. But that being said, these guys once they taste the sweet success of having that head coach title after the name, they're a little greedy, which I don't blame them, believe me. So would I take McDaniel? He's a very good offensive mind as a offensive coordinator. If he didn't get hired, I could see doing something like that. Yes.
I could see it, but I'm going to give you two teams that I think McDaniel would go to. I don't think he's going to get a head coach job this soon, but I think he's going to go somewhere, and down the line he'll have a second chance Solving. I could see him going to either our friend on K&K Sports Show's team, the Detroit Lions. They would just let go of their offensive coordinator. McDaniel likes to run the ball. Gibbs and Montgomery. Yeah, the Giants have Scadaboo and Tracy, and that's very intriguing as well. But I'm afraid the Eagles come calling in as they're looking for their sixth offensive coordinator in 6 years. And I think Mike McDaniel with Saquon Barkley over there will address run the ball first, unlike the stupid coordinator they had with this past year and didn't use Barkley the way they should have. Could see him going there on a run heavy offense. And but Giants are in play. Giants are definitely in play. And I look at the team he goes to, he's going to have a chance down the line. Falcons are another team with their running back, Bijan Robinson, in that offense. A lot of good offensive opportunities for coordinators But thanks for that question. And I could see him, yes. Do I think he will be? We'll see. I don't know. First, we got to get the head coach, and then we'll see who they like as coordinator, and that's who they bring in. It's going to be very interesting to see down the line. But anything else, Paul?
I think that's it. It's a wrap.
All right, I'll get final thoughts in, and I'll get Paul get the final words tonight. Uh, Great show, Paul. Great agenda. Great topics as always. Great interaction from the audience. I want to thank all our fans and friends for coming on. If you haven't already, do if you like us, you like what you're seeing, free of charge. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, hit the like button. Subscribe if you really like what you're seeing, and we'll do this each and every week with you all. We enjoy doing it. We don't get any money for doing it. We just enjoy hanging out with everybody, interacting with people around the world. Patrick over there in Hawaii, and Sharon out there in Utah. Everybody hanging out with us. We love you guys. We do it each week for you all. Give us some thoughts in the comments what you'd like to see more of, and we'll throw those type of shows out at you. So we like to be different than everybody else out there. We like to keep it unique. We like to keep it fun, and we love to keep it interactive. And just as I'm saying that, let's say hello to one more new face, Charles Barkley, 223 coming in. Go Giants! Hire Harbaugh, win the 5th Super Bowl. Charles,
I can
thank you
all,
for hanging out with us. We're at the end of our show, unfortunately. We go on 7:30 Eastern Time. We're doing Tuesday nights right now. We go Mondays as well. When we'll keep you up to date when we go back to Mondays, but we're Tuesdays 7:30 Eastern Time right now, and we go on for roughly an hour each and every Tuesday night. So and Solly,
Kenny, all I
thank you
can
saying hit the like button. Good show, fellas. I'll catch the replay now. I got in late. Thank you so
all I
much.
can say is that's terrible. Real terrible. Anyway, great show, Kenny. Thank you. Thank everybody who participated, comments, questions, just tuned in, listened to us. Again, you guys are the reason we do this. We love it. We love talking Giants football and NFL. So continue to watch us. It'll be a fun off season. We have some great things to look forward to. Coaches, draft as we get closer. So it'll be fun over the next few months.
I'm going to steal this one from Charles Barkley. He's subbing. Thank you. Go G-Men Nation. Have a good night, everybody.